you're shopping for an Argo in central Alberta, head over to Argo Motorsports in Edmonton. They have specialist sales and service professionals for all types of Argo XTVs, as well as many other exciting motorsports vendors. You can also check them out on their Facebook page where they post special deals and interesting content. And don't forget to tell them Esme and I sent you.
Hi YouTube, welcome to the Emporium Outdoors. My name is Michael and this is my dog Esme. In this video we're heading out for a hot tent adventure. It's about minus 15 Celsius right now, and I think tonight's probably going to go down to around minus 20 Celsius. The snow conditions are, it's about a foot deep in places, and it's relatively light snow. The Argo that I have with me is doing a pretty good job. I think we're getting pretty close to where tracks would kind of make sense, but it seems to be pulling through pretty good. This is the first winter count for a little while, and if you've been watching my channel, you probably know why that is. My shooting schedule got a bit mixed up through one reason or another. So if you'd like to come along and join me, you're more than welcome. So I do have the machine set up a little bit differently today. Winter's always pretty tough to pack for because you need so much gear. What I've done is actually put my sled across the back, put all my other stuff underneath it. Hopefully that'll keep the snow off. That's what I'm hoping. There's Esme. Hi Esme, you enjoying the snow? And that's where we're going to be heading. Well, unfortunately that was a pretty short ride. We've kind of hit the limits of what the Argo can do without tracks. If you can see the trails behind me, you can see that it's about a foot deep, somewhere around there, but the snow isn't light enough, so it's actually getting high centered. So even though it's actually pulling through, the weight of the machine is compacting slightly, every so often it just settles out and it's not able to actually go through without a bit of jiggery pokery. So I don't want to get stuck. I'm probably about 5 kilometers from my truck. This is kind of the area I wanted to camp in anyway, and the trails aren't too bad like the normal trails I go through because they are covered by trees either side. It tends to keep the majority of the snow off. On the open areas like here, you get the drifts coming through, you get much deeper sections, so I don't want to take a risk and get stuck and have to dig all my way out. But yeah, I think this is far enough. This is a really nice spot. I'll kind of show you around in a second, but we've got lots of trees around, lots of dead standing, so that's going to make my life so much easier with firewood. And there's a nice open area just behind me, so I think we'll call it good here. for a hat change. So I'm just trying to work methodically and slowly. I don't want to overheat myself and cause problems with sweat and getting wet. I did put the beanie on to allow some of the my head to lose some heat, to sweat that way. So I'm just going to kind of take my time. I've got lots of time today, so I'm just going to slowly put the tent up. First of all, I'm going to put something down where Esme can actually be. I can put the tent materials down without them going in the snow. So that's the first thing that I'm going to do. And then slowly get the tent up. So it's such an easy to set up tent, there's absolutely nothing to go wrong. It's like 5 poles and you're up. I'm going to go and clean up a little bit with the snow shovel, move it around slightly, and then I'll probably cut some wood and actually use that to tie out, I think. So just a quick point why I've got this tie out. This is for the back. This is different from the sides. I've actually had the sides upgraded from Snowtrekker. They're available, you can buy them. And they're the orange clip-on types, and I'll show you a close-up of those. But these used to stick when you're sliding the poles through. If you got any moisture on there, or if it's really cold, this would get really a little bit stiff. But the upgrades are definitely worth it. So I'll put a link in the description of where you can actually pick those up if you have a Snowtrekker and you're looking to upgrade your tie outs basically. It's well worth it. It makes a huge difference for the setup. Much simpler. Great idea. Let's get the back down. So we set up the outside now, and all the sides are pulled out, so it makes a big difference. That's where the stove's going to go in a second. We have that rubberized matting on the floor. Also my mat. Also my cooking bucket, which I'm naming the yellow one. Also doubles as a seat, so that's pretty good. But it has pretty good headroom. I can stand up. So I can stand up and my head doesn't touch, but it's pretty close. You can probably see there. But it's a good size. It's a great tent for one person, but you could definitely sleep two. It's great for one person and dog. I love this tent. Okay, let's crack on and get the stove in. So I did see a different way to actually anchor the stovepipe recently, and I thought it was a really good idea, so I'm actually going to give that a try. So it's just some brass wire that I always carry. Grab some of this small paracord. I don't think this would work if you're in a very windy environment, but it's pretty mild, quite sheltered really. I don't think it'd be a problem. I think we'll just try it and see how it goes. If it doesn't look too great, what I'll do is change it later on. But if that works, that'll be a really good solution. Because I screw the pieces together, it's pretty solid. Like if you were going to do it this way, I definitely wouldn't do it unless you actually had the parts all screwed together. I think that's one of the things I did learn from other people's mistakes watching YouTube, was that if the parts, obviously on a windy night or whatever, or the stove connectors start to wiggle apart during the night or whenever, that can be a bad situation. All it takes is a couple of screws. It takes a few more minutes to put together. It stops your chimney inadvertently coming apart. So I thought that was a really good, worthwhile tip, good safety tip too. So something that I've always done now. So the next job, I think we're gonna get some firewood. This is gonna be the easiest firewood I've ever collected. So that's my tree. Right there. I think if I drop it towards me, hopefully I'll go the right way this time.
be good.
Well, at least it went the right way this time. So I did bring the chainsaw, so I think I'm going to buck it up with the chainsaw. It'll be much quicker. But because of the diameter, I won't have to do much splitting at all. Everything takes so much energy in the cold. But I'm getting overheated right now, so I'm gonna actually take a break, get my breath, and then we're gonna head out and actually get some tinder for the stove. Then we can finally get that lit. I think we're looking pretty good. Time is about 2 o'clock, so I think we've been out. I think we arrived around 10. So about 4 hours we've been out and about. So some stuff on you. What do you think is? You all set up now? Thank you. You just want my frosty beard. Ugh. Okay. Good girl. Okay. Yes, I know. What do you think of the gloves? No, I prefer my face. Okay, so gonna take a little break, and then we're gonna head out and get some tinder. The hole there, isn't he? See any birch bark cats? Uh-oh. Has maybe hurt your foot? Yes, come. Let me see. Come. You're okay. Oh.
Wait a minute, what? So I do have my alpaca socks on.
I've had these for around 2 or 3 years, so they do wear on the soles, but they are so incredibly warm. Got my booties on now. So it's a lot more comfortable. So that was a bit of a weak start to the fire. The wood wasn't terribly dry, it was good enough. But if I had some birch bark in there, which I didn't have any, it makes the job so much easier. So I had to start the whole thing with pretty much no tinder. The candle trick works really well. Making those little feather sticks really helps as well, obviously. And then at the end there, I just put in a big blob of the pine sap. Or it may have been actually spruce sap as well. So that really helps. If you can get a flame going, get that started to melt, then you're away basically. What I'll do is over the evening is I'll start to split up some of this stuff for the morning. So it's going to be easy. Have some fine sticks I can just throw in. But I think we're pretty good. I think I've got plenty of wood for the night. I think that'll be a problem. And Esme's just down here right now. Give on this. Fortunately, she did hurt her leg earlier, so I'm a little bit worried about it. I just want to get her warmed up, and then I can have a proper look at it. Okay. So we got all the chores done. I split up quite a bit of the wood ready for tomorrow, so I've got all those pieces ready. So the temperature is plus 15 in the tent and minus 10 outside. Temperature is starting to drop outside. I can kind of feel it already. I did bring some different beers with me this time. So this is Crisp Pills, and this is the Jasper Brewing Company. So this is brewed in Calgary in Alberta. So I haven't tried this before. Quite hoppy. It's more that's the pills. Yeah, tasted a little bit too hoppy. Pills tends to be very, very crisp, but yeah, that's not too bad. Also have something else to show you. When I got my gloves from Giver, sent me this little thing, which I think is genius. So it's a little neoprene can holder. So it stops your beer from freezing. But I'm assuming this is the way it's used. Check that out. Hands free. No. I'm dribbled on me a little bit. That's a pretty cool idea. Especially if you're skiing or doing something. Not that you would ski with a beer, but in my point. It's kind of unusual. So, been wearing the gloves today. Been working out pretty good. Actually much better to drive in the Argo than my regular mittens, and they do keep your hands warm. I still do get, and I'm not sure if it's just me, but my little pinky finger, I still feel the cold if I'm not keeping my hands moving too much. So when we set off, it was like minus 15. But they're really good for using the snow shovel. I use them with the chainsaw, but they are too thick for general dexterous stuff. That's why I kept taking them off today. Like I say, the drawback with having fingered gloves compared to a mitten like this is if you do get your hands cold, getting your hands back into a fingered glove is a royal pain. So that's a big downside. So that's why I brought my mittens. With a mitten, even if your hands are wet, you can put your fingers together, force your hand in. I don't even put it in the thumb hole if my hands are wet and cold. I'll just force it in the mitten, and I can keep all my fingers together and I can rub them. It's a great way to keep your hand warm. So even though I carry these, I'll always carry mittens because this is the best way to keep your hands warm. And obviously you can put your thumb in later on. These haven't worked out too bad. They're a Gore-Tex glove, the Cabela's brand. Actually been quite happy with them. Have this nice little strap. So again, this is one thing I really like. So you can drop your mittens, take them on. Sometimes I'll wear like thin liner gloves, some little wool gloves, and then drop them and then do things, put them back on. These don't have the facility to do that. They do have like a D-ring, but it's more for putting the gloves together, like so. But really, for outdoor gloves, they should have a separate like D-ring type connector where you can actually hang these off. And I may through this little, you can see that through there, I may just put some D-rings, get rid of these things, and then I can actually hang them from a string. So if I drop my gloves, I can just hang them out, do what I need to do. Don't want to lose your gloves, it's very important. So the time on the Momentum Smoke Jumper watch, one of my favourite watches, is about 5 to 4. So we've got probably about half an hour before it's Esme's normal dinner time. So I'll prepare that. But I think I'm just going to relax for the next few minutes. Tent's warming up nicely. Got everything done way ahead of schedule. So that's kind of nice. I think I'm just going to listen to some music or a couple of my podcasts, perhaps. So we'll be back with you shortly. So it's about 6 o'clock and Esme's recently had her dinner and we just popped outside and took a look at the sky. It's a clear night and I didn't realise it's full moon. It's going to be cold. 6 o'clock currently. We're at, I don't even see that, minus 16 and inside we're 15 degrees Celsius. So minus 16, I think we're going to be minus 20. That would be my prediction, I guess, from this time. Because it's going to be open skies, that's what makes the big difference. I thought we may have some snow, cloud cover, keeps the temperature warmer. I wouldn't be surprised if we hit kind of minus 21, minus 22, perhaps by the deepest temperature. So this, when the sun comes up tomorrow, somewhere around there. Stove's doing good. We've still got lots of wood, and we're actually having a really good time. Just hanging out. What do you think, Ez? Having a good time? Seems to be okay on the leg now, which is good. And yeah, might do some carving shortly. Might make a spoon or something different. I'm not quite sure yet. Maybe a knife. Actually, a knife would be great. Something to spread butter. So I might carve a knife. So we're just climbing into the sleeping bag, and it's still about 10 degrees Celsius inside. And it's about minus 18 outside. So I think it'll be pretty warm. Fire's all stacked up, so it'll burn down for a few hours yet. It'll probably get colder in the night, but Esme's in the bottom of the sleeping bag, and once it starts to get a little bit colder, I'll probably climb out and put some more wood in. So I'm looking forward to spending the night in the Teton sleeping bag. Last time we spent the night in this sleeping bag, it was minus 18 and the zip broke. And we're in a hot tent, and it's plus 10, I think, and the zip works, so I think we'll be fine. There's lots of room, which is the most important part. Esme can fit in the bottom of the bag and I can stretch out, so that's some of the most important things for the sleeping bag. Anyway, I'll let you know how the sleeping bag worked out in the morning. Good night for now. Well, good morning. We had a really good night's sleep. It's actually quite late. It's about 8:30, and we did get up earlier, put the stove on so the tent's nice and warm, but worked out really well. Esme slept well on the bottom of the sleeping bag, and my feet were nice and toasty, but no problems with the zips. Everything was really good, so yeah, really good. The stove didn't lose any embers all night, so I managed to, I think I put more wood in about 4 o'clock this morning, and then I put some more in about 8 o'clock, just to keep it nice and warm. So it was quite good. Didn't have to tend the stove too much. Could have gone out all night, to be honest. It wouldn't have made any difference. The sleeping bag was more than warm enough. So I think we're going to get some hot water on and have some coffee and a bit of breakfast perhaps. So one of the things I've started to bring with me, which I already had, was actually this really cheap coffee filter. It works out perfectly for Nalgene bottles. So if you come to bring a bunch of filters with you, this, obviously this just pops right in the top. But obviously with snow that you melt, it tends to be, has lots of other stuff in it. So it's a great way to actually filter it out. I think those plastic holders are a couple of dollars, but they work great, and you can also make coffee in it. So it's something I've recently learned, or rediscovered I should say. I'm certainly ready for my coffee. That's not bad. It's not bad at all. So I hope you've enjoyed our little weekend away. We had a really good time. The weather wasn't as dramatic as I was hoping. It was kind of snowy and windy when we first got here, but it's actually a really nice day today. I think it's probably around -5. So we're going to head down the trail and get packed up. So I hope you enjoyed watching, and until next time, take care.
And as always, thank you very much for watching. If you like my videos, leave me a comment, maybe a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe.